So there are three amazing founders, two of whom run great brands, one of whom runs a fund that is invested in some amazing brands. So unique points of view as people who've built businesses and also built businesses and invested in them. So a couple of minutes each, I think, just to go around and introduce yourselves. Dessi, I seem to remember hearing you had, I think, the fastest growth ever when you launched Zaggora's Hot Pants, the initial sales. So I'd love to hear about why you started the business and then how you've now moved into more of a leading health foods brand.
Hello everybody, and thank you for having me today. I'm Dessi. I'm the founder of Zaggora. For those of you who don't know, we're an award-winning health and wellness brand. We sell activewear and health foods online. We have won the National Business Award in 2012 for our e-commerce strategy. We've sold 1 million products around the world. We are a pure play e-commerce business, very much focused on helping make the world healthier in an easier way. We started the business back in 2011, but I'd really had the idea for our product back in 2008 when I was getting married, and I couldn't find an easy way to get in shape for the wedding. So I had this crazy idea for a pair of pants that can help get you hot and help you get fitter easier. And we really started the business after my husband and I went on holiday in 2011. I'd been doing some research for 3 years. How can I make these pants? What kind of materials can I use? Can I find suppliers? And then after having a very refreshing holiday, I think we both sort of felt very optimistic and eager to give it a go. Neither of us had experience in e-commerce. We both came from an investment banking or investment background, but we just thought, what the hell, let's give it a go. And it started very much as an experiment, and to this day, we very much run the business as an experiment, always trying out new things and figuring out, new, better products, better way to service our customers. So that's just, very quickly how we started. We love the space. We think the space is very exciting. There's a lot of opportunities in our health and wellness sector. And I hope to be able to share some of what we've learned today.
Thank you. Antoine, you're an investor in several of our customers, I think, including one that's up on stage later. So you founded Felix Capital together with a partner a couple of years ago, and you decided to have quite a specific focus. So e-commerce is a specific focus for you. Why do you believe in the space? Why have that as a focus for your business?
Yeah, we decided to be a thematic fund. We had the opportunity to do so and to focus on digital lifestyle and very much around commerce and media. And I guess the main reason is it's because it's a very exciting time right now in this category, and we have great illustration here today, or just before, and so on. Yeah, I think mobile has changed a lot of things. We often call this the rise of micro moments, but there's this opportunity for people to build brands online through social network and very differently than a few years ago. And for all these moments, we're looking after people that are trying to build this authentic relationship with their customers, with the customer base for all these little moments online. And it can be either a product, it can be platforms, it can be even content brand, like we have with Group or Business of Fashion, but we find it's a very interesting area to invest in this specific area. And on the other side, we look also after companies like you, but companies that are reinventing completely the retail and e-commerce experience. And it can be with tools like Mireia that helps you to understand better your customers, to reach out to customers in a much more efficient way. But it's all through the value chain of commerce or retail, actually. So it can be through the logistic, through conveniency. So all this phenomenon happening in this sector, we felt was something we wanted to grab, and where we thought we want to be relevant for the entrepreneurs in these specific categories to see us as a kind of specialist to support them in their journey.
Interesting, you mentioned building businesses through, I guess, the social network and the social community. There's going to be a talk later on this afternoon by Edward, the founder of Lovecraft, specifically about how to create a social community and then turn that into amazing e-commerce business. So I think definitely lots of opportunities there to come. Mireia, you spotted an opportunity when you started out, and you wanted to focus specifically on building an online-only luxury brand, which is unique, and you recently rebranded it to be even more luxury. So tell us a little bit about that story and why you did that.
So, I mean, my background was in business, so I didn't have any background in fashion. I was in management consulting, went to business school, but I had an idea that I thought there was a gap in the market for handbags that would tick every box, literally, that would be beautifully made, luxury quality, practical on the inside, and at an attainable price. And at the time, we started with work bags. Now we're an accessible luxury handbag brand. But our initial focus was work bags, the work bags that I could never find. And the reason why we launched online was because I knew there was a need. You know, I did a business plan at business school, and you know, I interviewed a lot of women, and they all could never find the right bag. But getting to them was hard, which is often the case for new companies, because you know, the wholesalers couldn't quite understand us. You're like, okay, the luxury of you know, look and quality of luxury, but the price point is more attainable, and you have the functionality inside, so they didn't know where to place us. But I knew the customer was there. So thankfully, you know, when we launched 7 years ago, internet was already going. Zara didn't launch online until like 3 years ago, but Net-a-Porter and another online retailers were there. So the customers were used or starting to being used to buying online. And for me, I just felt it was the fastest way to reach our customers. I didn't have the patience to wait 6 months to meet the buyers, and then another 6 months until they made the decision. And so, so basically, and it was also the most cost effective. So I launched the business with only £50,000, and it was myself. So that was a way that I could, you know, the front end was very professional. The website, the packaging, the product, the back end was me, you know, with a little toddler running around. And so that was the fastest way, and also the way we could communicate the story. You know, we wanted to communicate what the brand stand for, and the women that were wearing it, and we found online was I found online was the best way and fastest way to do that.
Okay, well, look, let's get straight into it. I'm going to use the words "your business" a lot. So, Antoine, when I say that, the business you guys invest in is probably more relevant, given that it's a retail conference. You've all been in this space for a while. You all have a lot of experience. Given Lifecycle is about the customer journey, the customer experience, what is the biggest difference that you've seen from your businesses between what customers used to expect, say, 5 years ago, to what they expect now, to what you think they're going to expect in the future? Let's go from there.
I think customers are getting educated by retailers like Amazon with the infrastructure and, you know, the service levels to expect and have a better customer experience, whether that's fast delivery, easy returns, you know, availability of choice of product. And I think for a brand that is, you know, building a brand, you know, first of all, you need to be multi-channel. So being, you know, in as many channels as you can is essential, but also utilizing some of the, you know, infrastructure. So we certainly do. So, you know, for certain types of our customers, we use Amazon infrastructure for sending, for delivery, and so on. So I think that's certainly something that customers expect. And I think for brands in the space today, on the one hand, there's ever increasing expectations on the service. And then on the other hand, there's ever rising costs of acquisition, because this, you know, something like 95% of online marketing growth is going to places like Facebook and Google. It's becoming more and more competitive. You know, the advertisements on Facebook have, you know, tripled over the last few years. And so I think these are two things that certainly are being faced by brands today.
Mireia, would you agree with the need to be in many channels? Do you think you will change your strategy at some point and start entering into?
I mean, we have like a showroom. We call it Studio Store in London, just because people wanted to see the bags. Or some people. I mean, 95% of our sales are online, but some people come and see it. I mean, we will do it the other way that most handbag or fashion brands do it, which is, you know, first they do wholesale, and then they do online, and then they open a store. So we will continue online. Will be our strongest backbone, and then, but there is in the pipeline, probably we'll open a store, but it will be like maybe one in London and then potentially other cities, but where customers get to experience the brand, see the product, so as a complement to our online experience.
I think it's certainly seeing also a decrease in customer loyalty, if you like. So there's a great book that if you haven't read, anybody who's interested in e-commerce should have a look. It's called 4. It has just come out, and it's about the rise of Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Google. And some of the statistics are pretty startling. So in 2007, something like 70% of adults could identify a favorite brand in clothing or in fashion. You know, fast forward to 2014, the numbers dropped down to about 40%. So consumers are suddenly becoming less brand loyal, and so as a result, brands need to work ever harder to create an experience, you know, to your point about opening a showroom, you know, having a place where people can really experience the products is becoming even more important.
I mean, actually, that rolls quite nicely into my next question, which is you've all got a very detailed eye, especially for how brands will communicate with you. So who do you particularly rate in terms of their marketing, their customer experience, the exact opposite of my example of how things could go wrong, as it were. Antoine, anyone come to mind that you're particularly proud of?
It's a tricky one. I think I'm going to relate it with your previous question. I think for me, for us, there's a bit two categories. There's the conveniency side, where obviously you have a name called Amazon at the top of this, which is a source of inspiration, but also maybe a source of danger for a lot of brands, because as soon as you try to provide the same kind of level of conveniency to your customers, that's fantastic, but usually it impacts a lot your unit economics. Not everyone can provide the same day delivery and so on and stay profitable on customer purchase. So the second area where we love at Felix, and there's not so much companies that manage to nail this, and I think that's a kind of alternative, sustainable alternative is to manage to build content and commerce together. So being more destination side, not especially for the conveniency, but for the eyeballs because of the quality of the content you provide. That's what was one of your questions with the previous company on stage. Yeah, so this content and commerce play is something we personally look for quite actively. One of our illustrations in the portfolio might be Goop. It's a very polarizing company, but the content has driven a very sticky customer base for years. And we came on board with NEA with the willingness, led by the founder, to start leveraging on this quality of customer base and the stickiness and start building our own branded products. So we started with food and now nutrition and soon apparel. And the challenge here is the quality of the content takes time to create this stickiness. It takes years. And we're looking after people that will manage to build this in an authentic way in a shorter time frame. And that's difficult to nail.
Do you think that's possible now because of a specific age that we're living in? We're living in an age where a number of social networks have sprung up that allow you to get amazing brand presence on, say, Instagram and now Snapchat. And because the first brands that got into that have been able to use content to acquire, and do you think that will disappear? I'm intrigued, I guess, all three of you, in terms of whether you believe that kind of strategy of content-led acquisition is going to work for the majority of your business going forward.
It feels, and that's why we like it even more, like an art in a way, because of course the social network helps. Of course, tools that provide enable you to have more contextual, reaching out in a more contextual way to your customers can help too. So there's a lot of these tools available, and a lot of this will come generally from the people creating this content. But I mean, it's going to be different channels, I believe.
And Mireia, do you?
I think it will only increase. I mean, the thing is, you see people now when they want to buy, they don't just want to buy the product, they want to understand the brand, the experience, and that goes with content. So for us, when we launched, because we were a completely new handbag brand, I mean, our price point is between 200 and 500 pounds. So it's not like something that you buy for 50 pounds. So you needed to know what you were buying into. So content was vital from the beginning. So when we first launched, we had, there was Sartorialist doing street style on the one hand, and you had Net-a-Porter selling clothes. So we kind of put the two together, and and we were showing street style from the very beginning 7 years ago, so people could relate to the bags more than just with the model. We do interviews, we feature people's homes, we do travel guides, and because handbags, is not something you buy every week. You might buy once a year or a few times a year, but we want people to come to our site every week. So then they have us in mind when, as Dessi was saying, customers are not very loyal nowadays because it's such a great offering. So you want them to keep you in mind. And the way we look at it, or the way I look at it, is we kind of try to look at best practices across. So from content, what is Net-a-Porter or Farfetch or some of the best, or even just content providers doing, and try to do a bit of that, Magazines, actually. So we looked at a lot of magazine content and tried to replicate that online. So it's, we provide a lifestyle rather than just a product. On the customer service, online, what are the best offering? You have to do free shipping and free returns and try to do it as fast as possible. And there are ways to do it, even if you're not very big. There's, particularly if you're an online business and you're not doing wholesale, your margin is greater than if you were doing wholesale. So you can use that margin to provide better service. Like even customer emails, I find it so frustrating when I get emails from companies that are like kind of, I don't know, deaf or something, and it's an automated machine saying, sorry, you don't, your order is not here when I'm asking a different question, or there's not even an email or a phone that you can call. And so we try to avoid that. So I've done a lot of the templates that we send to customers written myself, and you can see that there's someone there that actually cares and understands. So I think it's about looking, to your point about every area, I think it's looking and really trying to be the best you can at that, and look what other players are doing, or what the best in class is, and try to replicate to the best you can, I would say.
And Dessi, I guess your brand is very much about lifestyle, right? So I'm guessing some of these new social channels are probably quite strong for you, or I mean, do you see Instagram and Snapchat being key for you in the future as you keep building out the other components of this health/fitness?
Yeah, I mean, so when we first started Zaggora, so we're quite conscious about marrying ourselves to a particular social network, and sort of really investing very heavily in building up one particular social network. And the reason for that is when we started Zaggora back in 2011, Facebook was very different, so we spent a lot of effort. We built out a big community, so we have 500,000 women community on Facebook, which was amazing if you could communicate with your customers. Every time we post something, everybody would see it, and that community really had value for us. Today, that community has, hardly any value for us, because first to advertise to these, to these fans, so to speak, is even more expensive than to get new prospecting customers, to our website. So, and we looking forward, Snapchat and Instagram look more and more towards monetization. Mm-hmm. You're already starting to see throttling of, posts being showed to, fans on Instagram, probably going to see it on Snapchat. So, it will become ever more expensive marrying yourself to a particular social network, and actually the targeting that you could probably use through the advertising platforms of these networks is going to be more useful as a tool.
Let's talk about investment. So, Antoine, you've got a high bar, 3 rounds of funding. I still haven't got you to invest in a Mireia. We'll get there. It happens. What does it take for a retail brand to excite you?
I would talk more about the founders.
Fair enough.
We only go after founder-led business.
Wait, what are you trying to say?
I guess it's this mix of you have so much tools available, you have so much channels, Facebook and so on and so on. And I guess it's really having this blend in the founding team of building something authentic today with customers that are less faithful and have weird habits, especially the millennials that you're trying really to understand, and manage to get this on one side, on the customer-facing side, build this very authentic relationship with your customers, and you see it through signals at the beginning. How anal are you about the feedback you're getting from your customers? Are you iterating yourself, and how you're trying just to be better and to be more genuine in your relationship with the customer? And after, I think this blend after with execution, with quality of execution, which is being aware of all these tools that are around you, and use these tools very efficiently. I mean, we're in a world where it's cloud-based. There's so much tools that are available that weren't available when we were operators a few years ago, and this is now available to you. And we're looking about these people that have this mix of being very tech-savvy on one side, very execution-focused, but very authentic about what they are.
So what you're saying is if someone is using a Mireia, they're more likely to get investment from Felix Capital. Amazing. Heard it here first.
Especially also in lifestyle vertical. We love food, we love wellness, apparel, obviously with Farfetch and so on, but all this, it's much more, it's easier to build an authentic relationship with your customer with this type of product than washing machine or all this stuff.
And I guess flipping the question to the 2 founders of e-commerce businesses, Mireia, you ran it as cash flow positive for many years, right? And then recently took investment, is that right? What made you?
So for us, because I launched the business quite lean, so we were cash flow positive from the beginning and profitable within 2 years, and we didn't need cash, external cash, and we managed to grow that way while I was having 3 kids at the same time, and people will come to me and say, oh, do you want investment? And I was like, no, I just want to take it to a place where I'm happy and while I'm having the 3 kids, but last year, we won the Walpole Brands of Tomorrow Award. We started growing more internationally, and I just felt, and we were constrained, our growth was constrained because we didn't have enough cash. We were running out of stock every Christmas. We were like, again, we we wanted to do a lot of things. We wanted to launch a new website and a number of other things, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have the cash. So, and because we are a direct-to-consumer business, it's much harder to get loans versus if you're doing wholesale, you have the wholesale accounts or the wholesale orders to get traditional loans or funding. But basically, for me, it was the right time. And what I would advise is, I mean, there are a lot of horror stories about getting investors, and there are a lot of great stories. And for us, it's been great. And one of the key things is finding the right investor, because this is like a marriage, you know. So it is super important, and it's a business that you've been building for a while, and getting the right partner on board or partners is critical. So, but for us, it has helped us, you know, like high double-digit last year, triple-digit growth this year, and it has transformed the business. And all the things we wanted to do, we are able to do now. So it's not for everyone, but for some business at certain stages, I think it can be a great accelerator with the right partners.
And Dessi, I mean, do you agree? So, certainly in the early days, your business was a cash machine, a cannon of cash, right? Did you ever consider, like, what's your approach to investment?
Well, we have chosen not to take external investment for Zaggora, so we are a fully family-owned business. And that has been largely because, well, you know, similar to Mireia, you know, I had 2 children in the last, you know, 4.5 years. It was the right time for me to be able to, you know, take perhaps a little bit slower, you know, but, you know, from the very early days of our business, we've been able to finance ourselves by selling to our customer base. We have a pretty differentiated product offering. We're able to market effectively and profitably on Facebook. So, and, you know, in other channels. And so for us, we have not needed to raise external capital. I think, would we have avoided some of the mistakes that we have made as a very eager and somewhat arrogant young business in the early days? I suspect yes, if we had some adult supervision, but that's, you know, the beauty of the game. So for us, you know, we have felt that we have always wanted to stay family owned, but, you know, I think in e-commerce, I find that it's, you know, easier these days to launch an e-commerce business. It's more difficult to scale, which is where capital perhaps can come in useful for obviously other verticals that are perhaps more technologically heavy. You know, like Ometria, you do need external capital because there's simply time to market for you to create products, and that's expensive. So, yeah.
Absolutely. What do you see the biggest untapped opportunity in e-commerce right now? So, I guess, Antoine, is there another Farfetch waiting to happen that you can get into early?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, when we think about our space, and if you take Farfetch as an example, it's basically, is Farfetch going to be absorbed by an Amazon at some point or not? And again, we believe there's a few verticals out there, and I won't name the companies because we have them very much in mind, where that can build this destination website that is much more genuine than an Amazon type of platform, at least as it is, while providing the conveniency. And you take Farfetch, it's been a massive challenge for José to build this conveniency over the years, because it's not net-a-porter, you don't own inventory, you don't control the inventory, so you have all these multi-brands boutique all over the world, and you still have these pressures, especially in luxury, to provide same-day delivery, click and collect, as per the competitors if you want to be relevant. And the good thing is time is playing on our side, so there are still some untapped verticals where I think we could see emerging some new Farfetch.
Keeping your cards close to yourself. Mireia, Dessi, if you were to start a business now and it wasn't your current business, what would you do?
I'd probably be in freight forwarding, actually. I think it's an extremely outdated industry. It is a huge market, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars. It is, you know, everything happens by the phone. There's only one company, it was a freight forwarder that we use, called Flexport, that is absolutely killing it on the, you know, providing a platform, you know, where you can track shipments. But I think that's a, you know, very exciting market.
It blew up in very recent times. One of our investors, angel investors, happens to be in that space. He's in the audience somewhere. If you're here, give us a wave. You might want to have a chat afterwards. Mireia, what about you?
That's hard because when I launched my business, I had to feel very passionate about it. I had different ideas, and I chose the one that I was most passionate about. So I wouldn't go into a business just because I think it's an idea, but I enjoy the content and the design. I think within fashion, I think one area that I think it's quite exciting, less relevant for single brand or single product like us, but also for multi-brand or multi-product, is the model that Fix has done in the US, where you curate the looks. So they put together, they have stylists and a lot of customer information and information technology there to find out what the person would like, what their style is, their price points, and they put together 5 looks or a look with 5 pieces, and then they send it to you, I think regularly, I think once a month or whatever. And then you get to pick what you want and you return. But I think that way of shopping, I think it's one of the ways, I mean, that will be more prominent in the future, because that's how at least we women buy. You buy from a magazine, you see the look, you buy it. Even us with handbags, we show the look, and other pieces that we don't sell, but we show it because then in context it's easier to buy. So I think that within e-commerce, I think that's going to be an area of growth, which I haven't seen so much in Europe, but quite a lot in the US.
Definitely. I mean, I love Stitch Fix. In terms of e-commerce models, I always thought if I was to start something, it's got to be that, because they have access to data that other people don't. They have the, let's send them 5 things, let's see what people return, let's build a profile continually improving, which is just, it's fascinating. I'm not going to hog the microphone too much. I've still got pages of questions, but I think exactly James is shaking his head. Let's offer the opportunity. We've got some amazing founders here to ask some questions from the audience. So would anyone like to kick us off? Otherwise, I can definitely go back to my questions. No? One more? I'm allowed one more? Oh, wow, how do I pick? How do I pick? All right, is there a technology that you're excited about implementing in the next year or so, something that you believe is going to transform the way that you work, either at your businesses or the businesses that you've invested in, and you all use Metria, so that doesn't count?
Yeah, I mean, there's few things we look at. I would mention 3 very quickly. Obviously, AI, chatbots are the big topics right now, the cool topics out there. So at Felix, we often say we prefer EI, emotional intelligence, than artificial intelligence. So we see a lot of startups coming in our office pitching this type of new technologies. What we're missing a bit is the people that use it. Maybe Stitch Fix is actually a good example, but in a very genuine way. So not trying to replace the human experience that you're having with your customers, but maybe empower it, actually amplify it, I would say. A new trend we'll be looking closely more on the logistics side is really the last mile delivery side. So it sounds like a concept right now, but robot delivery and drone delivery is happening. Just did now 1,000 delivery by robots. So that's something we'll be following closely. And something a bit more closer to our home, I guess we love communities, and we kind of looking forward to see shoppable content through live streaming, actually. That would be quite cool. So that's actually something quite topical right now for us.
Dessi, Mireia?
For us, it's actually, we're a small business, so for us, it's more about actually utilizing the technologies that are available out there. I think, whether you want to market to a customer, target a customer, remarket, email, there are a lot of technologies out there, and oftentimes I actually find quite confusing in terms of the overwhelming amount of stuff. So for us, it's about, utilizing what we have much more effectively to really maximize the value.
For us, again, we're a small company, so it's not like Farfetch being the store of tomorrow. We'll let them do it, and then we'll take the best pieces. But for us, it's, personalization in as many ways as we possibly can. There's also kind of a sense of community. We've been working for a while on a refer program that actually rewards you for how much the other people spend. So not just gives you like, I don't know, £10 if they spend, but actually a percentage, and and how we implement that. So it's kind of a reward / refer a friend program. And then I think it's actually offline things that help the online business. So kind of off your question, but in a way, I think that there's also an opportunity to bring things from the traditional way of marketing into helping online. So for instance, we started printing a mini magazine, which we sent this year, we'll send 300,000 copies. So, and that is driving a lot of our sales actually. And so it's using all ways of marketing to drive online businesses. So, and we'll continue doing that.
Cool. Well, look, a lot of takeaways. Social networks becoming more and more expensive and harder to work with. Caring being more important than channels. Robot delivery being closer than we think. And I guess the most important takeaway that if you want to raise investment from the best fund in London, you just have to use Emetria. Thank you to these amazing founders.